usually in life, it's about not telling a story. It's not about talking. It's about being silent.
Hi, I'm Bram van der Groes, and thanks for listening to the Before and After Show, the podcast in which we are zooming in on specific moments in life that brought you further. My personal before and after moment was specifically last year when I was not happy in my job. Fortunately, I was lucky enough that CCV gave me the opportunity to figure out what I really like to do. I have to say it was quite a challenge and I had to do a lot of puzzling, but eventually I knew what to do. Make podcast. Podcast about personal stories, personal journeys, but most important, your personal events. These specific moments in life that brought you further. My manager loved the idea and said, go. So, enjoy this episode while walking, sitting, running, sleeping, or however you like to listen to podcasts. And let's start. Hello and welcome to the Before and After Show. I'm going to try something new here and introduce our next guest by one guest we had before. Please listen to our guest, Anne Kjaer. Do you know somebody else who could be inspiring for the Before and After Show as well?
I would actually recommend my husband, which sounds a bit sleazy. But actually, Jan Bathel, who's my husband, he is the founder of the Grace Female Accelerator. And I think that is really interesting because most people would think that a woman has founded a female accelerator. But I think diversity is such an important topic, and it should both be males and females and anyone who, is in between, that we all need to talk about it. So yeah, to talk about female empowerment, I think actually my husband would be a good one.
And there we are. For the listeners, it's a surprise, but for the viewers, it isn't, because they already saw that we have one guest in front of us, and it is Jan Bathel. So thank you for joining, Jan. Very welcome to join.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. Did you enjoy the intro of Anne?
Yeah, so it's and my wife, she's an amazing entrepreneur and has outstanding performances in the field of integration, diversity, peace work and stuff like that. I admire her a lot. I'm very proud to be her partner. And so if she said like it's worth talking with me, like this would be, it's just great hearing it. And yeah, so here I am.
Yeah, here you are. And of course, we had a conversation before because when we invite our next guest, we will always have a conversation and see if there is a match, yes or no. Yeah. And obviously it is. I think we will have a very interesting conversation about you and the things you are doing and the way you became who you are. So let's start with that. But before we will start with the questions and the conversation like that, I like to start with some yes or no statements. You can only say yes or no, and that's it. And along the way, for the listeners and for me, we will get a little bit more information and we say, okay, that's why the yes was there, and that's why the no was there, hopefully. So let's try. The first one is, it's because of the demonstrations against the German nuclear power program that I'm doing what I'm doing. That in this case, you are doing what you're doing.
Yes.
I will be succeeded by a woman.
Yeah. Yes.
The last one, your wife, Anne Kjaer, stated that she wanted to win the Nobel Prize in the future. Dream big, she said, aim high. Do you have a specific award in mind that you would like to win?
No.
Okay. So there won't be a battle between you. All right, that's good. Okay, well, again, thanks for joining. And let's start with the conversation. Before we started, it is Sunday when we are doing this recording. So before we started, I asked you how you are, and you said I'm good. It's very hot in Germany, and I was working in the garden. You're a big fan of working in the garden, I guess.
Yes, for sure. I think that also the bigger picture of being a gardener is a description of myself that I'm related to also when I work in social fields with people. So the idea of being a gardener in the nature and also within people, groups, communities, organizations is definitely something that I really like and feel very close to. And I see a lot of similarities on first when you set up the space for gardening, and you probably came from nothing, and then in 5 to 6 to 2 more years, then you sit in a beautiful green garden and joining the whole development of this, and you can have the same feeling not only into real nature but also when you're within a community, that in the end you will sit there as one of the gardeners. You're not alone in the social field, but you sit there and you think like, wow, this has become an amazing social field, and I love to be in there, and it's nurturing and it's rich and it's full of life.
And do I understand you correctly that you're not doing it by yourself, but more in a community?
Let's say I start, and I'm doing it on my own, and my wife is like helping me a lot, but definitely it's something that is related to me only. And if we have visitors at our farm, or if friends show up, they definitely love to be with me in the garden. But it's kind of like I haven't learned it from my childhood days on how to do it, and so a lot of people like to listen and to have a deep dive with me into it and the understanding and knowing all the plants and the animals and like what's going on. But it's not a community gardening, so it's a Jan gardening.
so you have a small board in front of the garden, Jan
Yes.
gardening.
Yes.
Exactly. And when you were little, because you grew up doing so, didn't you want to, because you loved it when you were little as well, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you want to do something with that when you were growing up, or was it just you always saw it like a hobby?
I don't exactly remember. I think I never thought of being a professional gardener, in the meaning of working with the land and nature and so on. So I had always the feeling that this will be already a part of my life, but not as a professional.
No, exactly.
I think never thought of it. No.
Did you have other thoughts as when you were little about what you wanted to become?
So I think there were two. I had two. I have two memories probably. Like one was there's definitely I have been in the city near to my parents' house. I have been with my mom very often in a bookshop, and there was a couple sitting behind the shelf and like were just talking about books all the time, and you like have a question and then they stand up and go in this massive bookstore and they will pick up something and say like, this, you have to read this, or have a look at this. And they were very good storytellers, and they also were organizing fairy tale evenings where they were giving their own fairy tales to a little interested community. And later on I got to know that they haven't written them down, that it was made by improvisation only, and they were telling each of them a fairy tale in a night that was so flourishing, so nurturing, so wonderful, that definitely I thought that I could be a fairy tale teller in the future. So this was definitely something where I thought like storytelling, or fairy tale telling, I would call it like this in former times, very beautiful. So this was definitely one thing. And the other thing is my father was a craftsman, a master in craftsmanship as a carpenter. And in like, I think this all over Europe, but especially in Germany, there's an old tradition that some of these craftsmen go on walls. I don't know how to say this in English. They are fremdgeschrieben, and you go away from your hometown or home village, and you work being a foreigner while you walk across the country or Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And so my father has opened our house to these men if they need a place to stay or to sleep. And I always thought it's the same man because they all wear the same like the same shirt, and they have this huge dark hat on their head. And so to me, this was not different men. It was always the same men showing up from time to time, and they were really strong men, and they also had a lot to tell. And the head looks very beautiful. So I thought, like, I don't really think I know what they were doing. So they were building something, yeah, or builders or craftsmen. And I was very impressed by the masters who could, like, with their own hands and an axe, they can just build a roof from scratch without any tools, and really wonderful men. So I think that becoming a master in a bigger sense that could teach someone something, that wears this wonderful hat and that is this proud and independent, rich man. This was very, very inspiring to me, and I think that I haven't thought of becoming a craftsman or something, but I want to become them.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing this man, or the lot of men have been with us, I was like, I want to be like them. Yeah,
and if you think about it, do you think you're like them right now?
I think that I've correlation, or I'm very close to being a storyteller, and I'm very close of being independent, and I'm very close of having an idea of what it probably needs to be to become a master. But this is then the old question, like, do you want to be a pupil that is becoming a master, or you want to be a master that is learning all the time? So I think that the idea of the master has changed in my life, and I would love to be the master who is in constant learning mode.
Mm-hmm.
So this shifts a bit. But yeah, both of them were very good storytellers and fantastic storytellers. So I hope that I could, in my work, inspire a lot of people for a bigger vision and to step up for themselves or others.
And do you believe that everybody could be a storyteller, or do you need a specific skill for that?
I think that some people might think of, probably the people who are going to listen to this here, is that people who tell a story or who are good storytellers, that they are well prepared, and that they are like bringing a story to life through themselves. That might come from a deep understanding of what it means to be present. And I would say that this presence is needed, but what Otto Schama, or one of my master, Wana Hayashi, told me is this wonderful word of presensing. And I think that a good storyteller is well prepared and is well present in the situation where he or she is in. And from this point of view, sensing the audience and sensing what needs to be told. So you can, sometimes you have a story that I have told in 100 different ways, depending on the sensing of the audience while I'm present in the story, to give it a different tone, a different shape, a different voice, so on. So I think that there's in this pre-sensing, I think storytellers that are inspiring, that they are able to do this, being present and sensing what's out there, and then have a fresh awakening of what have never been told before, of what have never been part of the story before, but is needed in this moment with this audience for the impact that needs to be out there, that the storyteller could not think of before, mm-hmm. with any preparation. And I think that this is something that's not so easy, and there are a lot of failures. And when you ask me, is everyone could be a good storyteller, I would say yes. And when you start from being present, it's already being very authentic, being into the story you want to tell others, and be aware. But usually in life, it's about not telling a story. It's not about talking. It's about being silent and listening. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but if you want to tell a story, like, give it some time. sense the stage, sense the people. Is it worth telling it? How to tell it? Like what is, as my master Arawana Hayashi would say, what is emerging from the field? What is arising from the audience? What is present already? And then go into your story and be the most present, authentic self ever seen before. Yeah?
And by the sensing, that is by when you are entering a room, you are talking to the people who are in the room before you are going to share your story, or you do some research before you are going to share your story, or is it another way of sensing as well?
Definitely. So I think you, like the whole presentation is or the presence is present is related to being prepared, and then when you enter the room, it's all about bodies. So it's bodies, and it's a social field facing you already. So when I'm with a client, a management board group that is in the room, and you just give it some time, and it's not about talking or interviewing, it's just sensing what's there. You definitely will get a lot of informations by being aware already, and then yes, talking to people, but mainly listening, not talking. Again, a social field is never it's never existing on its own. So let's say this management board I'm working with, like I have passed probably the door from the organization. I've been talking to someone who has the cab driver. I have been involved with some employees in the staircase. I've been having sensed like how is it to be in this organization before even I entered the room of the board meeting, and so on. So there's a lot of things going on that could be sensed, that give you a lot of information on how the culture or the organizational setup or probably the relations, the crises, the visionary of it is taking present or not. And then, yes, we're talking a lot, like because we're getting used to being very, very high-levelly skilled in rhetoric and stuff. And then we are in these organizations and we talk and talk and talk. But the body knows already a lot.
The only challenge is, I guess, that the body knows a lot, but it's a challenge for people to listen to their body to understand what they should do, or it's reading the bodies, but not everybody is that aware of the bodies, I guess, or
Yes.
of their own body.
Yeah, and the relations between bodies and the language and the culture that's out there. So I think that the term body probably is a bit misinterpreted here. So there's, let's say, I've different senses to observe the world, to observe my client, to observe partners, and to sense what is possible and which future or what is emerging from this field that I'm in, and definitely the senses, to make use of all the senses that I'm capable of, and not only my eyes and my ears. Like it's very helpful. And usually by talking, we are very much listening to people who download themselves and just talk about what they have been talking about for a long time before. So there's nothing new into it, and there's like the possibilities are covered by downloading. So definitely I'm looking first for how to enter a dialogue, and then how to enter new spheres that are awakening, what some people call awakening knowledge of that something that's already in the organization or within the field that you need to dig out, but that is covered by the downloading, by power systems, by performance measurements, by different aspects of the relationships within the people you're working with.
Yeah, this is very much related to the company you eventually started, Ignore Gravity, and the work you are doing there and how you apply it. you started your own company, but when we are going back a little in time, when you were little, did you wanted to start a company? Okay, you wanted to be a storyteller and successful in that sense, but did you eventually think, okay, I'm going to do that by starting my own company, or?
It's to be honest, it's my father saying. Oh, I hear my father saying, I was 16, roundabout, and my father was like, "Hey Jan, don't even think about. I'm going to buy you a car when you got your driver's license." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So how to get money? Fuck, because I love cars, and in these days I would love to be independent and go around Europe with my car and stuff. And then I had a look at all these jobs that you can do as a pupil, and I was very good in math, so it was very easy to understand that I will not be able to buy a car. I need to do something else. And then, a lot of things happening, so I decided to organize myself properly and go for a bigger vision, but it was about earning money first.
Yeah.
And then I founded a company with my mother's help, because I was... my father didn't want it. He wants me to be very good at school, and thought, like, if I'm now founding a company to earn money, I would probably be not that good in school as I should be. And my mother then secretly went with me to the officials and signed a paper that if something will go wrong, that she's then capable of it. And and that's we never told my dad, so he thought I was doing a pupil job somewhere with a very big German newspaper, the Bild Zeitung.
And that was when you were 16 years old.
Yes.
And what kind of company did you start by then?
So let's say I was enabling the abonnement delivery of German newspapers. So if you have an abonnement with a newspaper, I was thinking of how to make more money out of this, or how to sell more abonnements and stuff like that.
Ah, okay. So you were, and how did you came up with that idea?
One of the pupil jobs that I had a look into was these young pupils who go by bike and were bringing these newspapers all over their villages and towns to the readers, and they were not allowed in these days to sell the newspapers that were leftovers. And this made just no sense to me, and also the organization, the logistics, like everything I have seen made no sense. So I thought, like, I can do it much better. But I was like, it was in days there were no internet, no mobile phone. We had no idea of the word startup. There was not a trend like the startup industry, and it was just like that this little Jan would love to be capable to buy a car. Then and that's it. It's very boring.
And did you manage to buy your car?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And your father thought, oh, that's well earned at the company.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
My father was not that a car guy. He was. It was like you needed to have a car, but it was not something that could be kind of an aim or something. Yeah. So. Yeah, we were close, but not in this topic.
Around the same time, you were also joining the protest against the nuclear power program of Germany. Is that correct?
Yes. So it's parallel. Probably, I think it starts a bit earlier. I think I got to know a resistant group in the north of Germany, in a so-called Wendland in Niedersachsen, that was organizing demonstrations against the transportation of nuclear power rubbish and or nuclear power systems, or the idea that is behind all this. And I got involved into this very heavily, and had had been like, when I look at it now, I had the chance to observe and to be part of everything that humans can do with each other, but with the luck of not having seen murdering. But I've seen in these demonstrations everything that humans can do with each other, and from a very positive and beautiful and amazing side to very ugly, crazy group dynamics that have been placed. And in these days, my question was born on like, I think it starts with some like how to lead groups, or how to understand group dynamics, how to do good, how to organize and peaceful, resistant work, and so on. But it all came then together to the question, how do you lead? So I observed the state with his policemen and the leadership of the German police department, and I observed our leaders. I observed different types of leadership in all these days. I've been very long in this resistant group.
For how long? Sorry.
Still today.
Okay, yeah.
I'm part of them.
Yeah.
So, but I've seen a lot, and the question of how to lead was left over. That is probably the constitution of all what I'm doing today.
We call it in the before and after show aha moment. This was an insight for you where you decided, oh, what is this? What can I do with it, right?
Yeah. So I had this, but probably there's one special car ride where all my friends around me fall asleep on a trailer of a farmer, and I thought of like, I'm so exhausted and I want to sleep too, but my head was running, and I even imagined today like this truck, like it was shaking a lot, and I was sitting there, and then I observed my friends falling asleep and the others who were with us, and it was a very beautiful, safe space. I felt on the right time, on the right moment in my life to do the right thing. I was very convinced I couldn't do something better, but something definitely was missing. And this missing link was it that I don't understand on how to make this whole journey better or be in better service. And so I remember sitting on this trailer, driving, looking at the farmer who were driving us and being so kind people, being very helpful, these farmers here in the resistance. And I was thinking of everything we talked about before, like, is it possible to understand this? Is it possible to understand or to talk about group dynamic? Is it possible to talk about leadership? And then, it was a start somehow. I start reading about it. I start looking for people who were talking about it, giving lectures. I start being involved in trainings. I educate myself with people who were raising the same question, and then this starts. But it starts on this trailer where we got back from one of the last demonstrations, and I thought of like, there must be something. There must be people out there who could explain to me what was happening all over and in a good manner. And then we ended up in a friend's house and were sleeping for a very long time. And I also remember laying on the floor, and my thoughts were just running. Yeah. But I was definitely very exhausted too.
So yeah. When you concluded something, you were able to start to sleep.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so this experience brought you in that sense towards where you are right now, because I think you eventually started your own company. Well, when you were little, you started a company. you continue doing that because now you started Ignore Gravity as well. How was the path towards that?
yeah, probably what you must understand is that because I had employees already when other people were probably starting, how do you say, studying or do a normal career path or something. I got very interested in different things. So I was interested in art, I was interested in business, I was interested in performance, I was interested in philosophy, a lot in philosophy to explain things. So I started studying on site to my jobs and my company and the things I was doing. So it took a very long time, and I had to look into very different aspects of what people think on how to explain the world. And I was very lucky that I had this clear question of leadership. So I was able to search for people who were talking about this very beautifully, and I had probably a wonderful chance to get to know a man who was the last pupil of Niklas Luhmann, who invented system theory, or the modern system theory, then by Dirk Becker. And this Dirk Becker is a professor that is dealing with this question in a very beautiful way as a sociologist. And I think that with him, this journey starts to being capable of finding a first grammar of leadership, or first models, ideas that explain more to me than what I've heard before. And through him getting a lot of hints to others and to models and to theories and to trainings and to educations that I then went through to enrich my observing system. And then it happens that then also being a sparring partner, a partner or coach, executive coach for leaders, and working with them on their questions, what I do today. And so for a long time, my company was just called like me, Jan Bathel. It's not very surprisingly. The consulting business is a people-driven business, so it's about the person-driven. But with Ignore Gravity, so the name came to me because I thought that I'm dealing with the gravities that will hold you back, or your organization, or a group of people that you're working with or in as a leader, to innovate yourself, or to secure the next future step, or to write a strategy, or to be more successful, or whatever this is. And I think that I'm trying to listen to these gravities very carefully and try to reframe them as potentials, and something that from there you can walk on to find new experiences. But we know that we can't get rid of these gravities, but we can be playful with them and bring them into new levels of energies or performance or relations. And then I started to name the company Ignore Gravity. Yeah.
I think it's a very original and inspiring name. Well found. And it's different than Jan Bathel, but a bit different. But in a way, when you're saying what you're doing with Ignore Gravity, it sounds very strong, you know. So when I first read about Ignore Gravity and saw the name, I thought, wow, okay, that's powerful. So that's a good move there, I guess.
Thanks. Yeah, and it is so. It's not me. It's a lot of very wonderful people with me in Ignore Gravity. They are doing. This is also what Dirk Becker once said to me. So my first master, probably, he said that whenever you work with people, only work with people that are much better than you in the field that they are presenting or that they are standing for. and don't work with people where you can do it better. So at Ignore Gravity, you will just find people who are way more smart, intelligent, or whatever in their field they are working with. And it's wonderful to be with these people. And having this great team. I also have a wonderful business partner right now, Steffen. He's my rock and my hero in our journey. He's a wonderful manager and a wonderful partner in our business. And with Suzanne and Leonie, this is new. They will become partners in our company. We also run a company together that's called Ignore Gravity Ventures, where we invest in startups. But also Ignore Gravity will have 4 partners in the future. And there is a huge network of people that are not directly working in my company. They are not employed, but they have been with me and with Ignore Gravity as partners for a long time. And also clients. So a lot of clients are with us for a long time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is your biggest goal with Ignore Gravity? Obviously it's going well and you're growing and growing. But do you have a specific goal you want to achieve?
There's not this one goal, but I think that that usually we have an overlap in the mindset of people who are working in or with Ignore Gravity, that we believe strongly in the idea of empowering people or organizations to find their higher purposes. And this is a bit buzzwordy. So empowerment, today you will find this word empowerment or purpose-driven organization like everywhere. So it has become a bit a trend. But at Ignore Gravity, we have a strong belief and an overlap in our ideas on how to work, that we think that when you start from working with people as people, then working from the people towards the team, from the team to the organization, from the organization to society, that you will find on all levels a way on how to empower. So how to come from building relationships probably to performance, how to come to transformation then and evolution, then to an alignment, how to come to a real collaboration, or how to come to a real contribution when it comes to society. And so it's I think we don't like when you work from this this metaphor that probably you are creating a safe space where people could be the best facilitator, becoming someone who's integrative to others, being in service, that everyone could become a mentor for someone or a partner for someone, and then in the end being a visionary. This is definitely the goal. When you say, is there a goal? Yes, to empower people to come to this higher self, to the higher idea of organization, to the higher idea of an utopian society. Is definitely a goal, but it is very different by client on like where our work is so it's irritating the client, it's nurturing the client, it's fun for the client, it's very dysfunctional, it's very transparent, it's like a lot of things are happening while we are working, so it's not that easy for the client, I think.
No, I can imagine. But I think that's the fun part of the company and the job as well, right? You never know what kind of clients you will have and what to do with these clients and where the struggles are and where the gravity is, like you said. Mm-hmm. So that's an open challenge in that sense. Mm-hmm. So you have Ignore Gravity and you have your partners, but at one point you became a leader as well. So how was that transition? Well, I think you were a leader when you were little already, but for Ignore Gravity, what kind of style do you have?
Mhm. Um, so first of all, going back into my biography, I always found myself in leadership positions. So by groups, they had a feeling that at least for a while I should guide them without forcing them to do it or things. So there's definitely something in my inner person that made other people feel that let's try it out with Jan to go somewhere. Yeah, let's just try it. But in my professional education, I have been involved into many things around system theory, systemic therapy, family therapy, constellation work, the lot of ideas around aesthetics, the so-called social presencing theater that I have been part of. And so being heavily involved in all this and having always a question of how to be a leader, I experienced that it is probably about seeing and listening, stepping back, creating definitely a safe space only for employees, and getting involved and being a mentor when the greater vision or the greater aim gets out of sight, enabling the people to show up in their most wonderful way, which means you have to integrate their ideas, their passions, their opinions, and not yours. You have to be very truly open for moments of self-development, where like if someone is developing, like you must be with them, you must like celebrate it and be close and be wonderful. And sometimes then it's about the person and not about the client or the process or whatever it is. So being with my people and trying to see them and as a full person and try to have an understanding of who they want to become and be, and enable this journey and building bridges and being with them. Like this is in this methodology of the safe space. It's very important. And on the other side, I think it's all about humor. So I'm probably not the funniest person on earth, but I try to take the things not seriously while I take them very seriously. So while I have a plan, while I'm prepared, while I make up my mind, while I'm presencing, while I'm being in the leadership shoe that I want to be, I should laugh about it and just be with the people, because when you make a plan, then life is happening and things are happening, and to be to show the people that you can laugh about it at all levels and all times, and even if you fail, even if you have a disaster of something happening, like you can laugh about it and think like, woohoo, like what's going on here? And this creates, I think, a baseline for the safe space for the people, that they have the feeling that everything is possible. So yeah, and from the safe space, I think it's related to humor while you have a plan. Mm-hmm. So laugh about your plan, but have a plan, but laugh about it. So it's this paradox.
Yeah.
I think this is an idea that we follow at Ignogravity, and we have one let's call it a ritual or an investment, a time investment, and into us and our people and clients that we do on a regular basis, is that we are, and this is related also to my biography, I got introduced to Buddhist methodologies of what today in the West we call mindfulness, so about meditation and inner growth, and ideas about Dharma and Buddha. Mm-hmm. And here I created a little journey for the team that we do every day, that has 3 steps. So we start our day with a thankfulness round where we share what we are thankful for or what we feel. How we feel, then go into a guided meditation. The meditation is related to, let's say, to a year's development of the year itself, and to inner and deeper knowledge of Dharma. And then we go over to journaling. So every day we have a journaling question. Then the whole team is journaling, and if someone is surprised what in the methodology of journaling has came up, it's only 5 minutes. So sometimes we have huge questions and philosophical questions, sometimes fun questions, but 5 minutes can be very short or very long. Mm-hmm. And then this is, I think, my most important question to the people then is there someone who would love to share something? And then we usually have outstanding insights of the people who are going to share then what they have written down in this journaling. They don't have to, no one has to do anything. You don't have to join this, but the people love it and they are part of. So we get used to it that sharing creates very interesting moments for everyone. So you learn about your colleague a lot. Mm-hmm. You learn about yourself a lot, and you learn about us as Ignore as a team a lot, like what we are able to share. And I think that these elements, these 3 elements have a strong influence of our culture of creating a safe space first before we are meeting a client, before we are thinking about that we are able or capable of empowering someone. Mm-hmm. So it's in self-empowerment and creating a safe space. And it takes a lot of time, and sometimes you think of like should we go on with this? It's very time consuming. But I think it's the most important thing that we're doing throughout the whole day.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, when you're telling this to me, I'm getting really enthusiastic about the idea, and it's basically new for me. Mm-hmm. But that way of working really creates open space and needs a lot of trust towards each other, I guess. Because if you are sharing your stories, mm-hmm. then you need to trust each other. So, and when you do that, and when you see that you're able to do so, that bonds, and that's really a powerful thing, I guess.
Yeah. There's one thing that I usually don't talk about, but this should also be interesting for people who are listening to us. So there's probably a 4th thing that is related to our practice within the guided meditation. Let's say in the last part, there is a question that I bring to the people every day that goes like it's in the end of the meditation. So I guide them out of the breathing into coming back to a conscious mind. And I ask them how they want to show up for their colleagues, their families, their friends, a stranger in the street that they're going to meet today. And they should follow their heart, whatever idea came up, and then be very close and follow this intention for today. This sounds very dramatic in the beginning when you hear it for the first time, or it sounds very like too much or whatever it is. But if you see it as a practice only, that you can ask this yourself every day on like, how do I want to show up? And that you really try to be close to this idea that is arising within you and carry this out. This has, I think, probably a very, as you said, trust building idea, but it has also the idea of pre-sensing that probably I need to be present to sense others. I have to be present to sense a situation. I have to be present first before I step into communities, clients, social fields. And this is I think the 4th element that in our steps, we don't think about it because it's part of this guided meditation, but this is also, it's taking place there. And I think it's a very strong guidance for people to, even if you are angry, if you are sad, if you are going through tough life in your private life, and like whatever is going, or you feel probably not the person that is probably the most beautiful self ever out there, then this question will remind us individually that it's us who are designing this.
Yeah.
Every day you're designing your spheres of luck, your spheres of involvement, your spheres of trust. It's you and not the others. Even if everyone is very distracting and very unbeautiful in your eyes, it's only you to be the one to show up peacefully and beautifully for others.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's only you. It's only about you.
yeah, it's true. Yeah. I mean, I just read something about that, and that relates to the things you're sharing with us as well now. It was about if you let people touch you, as in decide how your mindset is,
yes,
then you're basically a slave of the external world. Yeah. And when you are accepting yourself as you are, and people cannot hurt you, or people cannot bring you on the path or whatsoever, then you are working in the purest way, and then you can bring the most things to community, or to your work, or to your family, or whatsoever. And that, I think that's really inspiring, and that relates absolutely to the things you're sharing here. Yeah.
Through my master that I now was giving ideas of 3 times Aravana Hayashi, she also was always talking about that the success of an intervention of a consultant, a person in life, like whoever, a leader, is built on the inner conditions of the intervener only. It's not built on the plan. Like you can, when you are in full capacity of your own presensing, you can step into a room and change it without a plan, built on your inner condition. But you can have the best plan. When you're distracted and disconnected, you will change nothing. The people will not follow. Mm-hmm. And this is very interesting. And I think this is what we are working on, so that when the Ignore team shows up at clients, or at people or partners, that we are able to intervene in the most beautiful way, even though it's probably not fun. It could be like a hard way to go, could be also have very vulnerable and sad moments, or whatever is happening, but we are capable of holding the space in this social field that's going to transform to a next level. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is about the inner condition that we are talking about.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Looking at the time, I'm going to continue, but there is a bridge towards the topic I like to discuss as well. Yes. Because this way of working you implemented in Ignore Gravity, I think other things came out as well. And one of the things which came out was the GRACE program, the GRACE Accelerating program, right? Yeah. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the short answer would be yes. Within the strategies that we are building with our clients. So when it comes to strategy work or innovation strategies, now for, I would say, 11 years, it has become normal to buy startups, or to invest in startups, or to be close to startups that probably are an answer to your innovation question when you run a large-scale company. Then the programs of incubation and acceleration have been out there, programs where young founders should be accelerated or incubated in their way of founding their companies. It has also to do with the idea of a safe space. And we thought, observing in the beginning, all the struggles that the large-scale company had with understanding these startup teams, that probably we should offer the program of this acceleration on our own and run accelerator programs. And while doing it, we had in all acceleration programs and in the acceleration programs of our competitors out there. We all share as hosts the same observation that you have very little women applying as female founders to these accelerators. So we thought of like, probably it's us as men, like providing let's say a language or a program out there that is not interesting for women. And then we started because we thought it goes deeper and there's a systematic problem here. We started to have deep interviews that we use at Ignore Gravity very often to analyze a problem. And we're talking to top female managers and top female founders in this specific area on why there could be a reason. And we found out a lot, but I like to share one outcome that leads to founding Grace as an accelerator program for female founders only. And the insight was that usually women get told by their closest family, so parents or uncle or auntie, or the first man or woman that they meet in their education, so a master or professor, that it is far too risky to found a company. They should better not do it, while their brothers and male cousins were being from the same people, were being enabled to find investment. The networks will be opened in the minute, and like so. There's a strange thing going on here. So, in these days, it was normal that you have to upload a business plan with your application to accelerator programs. And who was I thinking? Who is writing a business plan that usually needs sometimes the first draft, you work on this for months against your family, against someone who's educating you as a professor, secretly, and then secretly uploading it on an accelerator program. So we decided to build a program where you, in the first batch, only had to convince us that you, as a female founder, think you are the best female founder ever seen on earth. And only Germany, we had in our first batch 380 applicants.
Wow.
In the first batch. Ding. And here you see a lot of women want to found, but there's no place for them to show up in their true self. And then we can talk a lot about findings in female leadership and in the lack of diversity in our leadership sphere and the startup industry and so on. That like there's everything that we know now that it's out there. And we decided not to talk about it and not to have found a political initiative. We said that we build an accelerator program based on this for female founders only, to create a lot of role models, to bring together in our mentorship program a lot of role models, to tell story about successful female founders, who are out there and who are brave and wonderful and enable and support them to found their companies and be very strong and tell their stories. And this has become a wonderful initiative where also wonderful partners step in who are enabling us to do our work. We also invest a lot into this. And the last thing that right now that we are in is that we also found that women have a complete different approach in learning. So the knowledge that we provide in the Grace Accelerator on founding companies in all its levels in the founder's journey are much deeper as in our other programs, because women want to know and learn much more before they start to deal with a problem. And right now the team is working on a digital product that is called Grace Digital, because we can, in our accelerator program, we can empower up to 25 women a year. Mm-hmm. So we have to leave behind a lot of other women where we believe in. And then we thought of like also with the COVID situation on how to develop a program that is online, that's digital, that will help a lot of women to to found their company. Will be launched in October this year for the European continent in America. And in the next year, I would love to bring this to Africa.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good ambition. And so initially 318 female entrepreneurs wanted to enter the program. That's a lot already. How did that go? How did you communicate this into to them so that they knew that they could enter this program?
Yeah, but my business partner Steffen, I already mentioned him. He is a very, very good in branding and marketing. So next to the knowledge that we bring to the table in running good accelerator programs, we decided in the first year to more concentrate on building a brand than doing the program, because like what has to be done in founding companies, we already know. So running the program was not that a big challenge for us, but we decided on having a huge investment in PR and being very present in social media. And again, only concentrating on talking about role models and with role models and not about the problems. So our decision in Grace was showcase women who have done it, who are wonderful entrepreneurs out there, who run their companies successfully, and show all the women who want to found that it's just normal to do it. Just go for it. Yeah, and not discuss the gender dimension, not discuss what we all know about all the horrible things that happen to women who want to step into their leadership shoes. But this is our political decision. So we want to go out there and not talk about it, but do it. And support them. Found your company, go for it. We enable you. Boom. Then we go for a very strong communication campaign. My business partner is very good in building brand strategies, communication strategies, and bringing the brand out there. Working with the team on it, that this is something where we need to overthink internally our ideas on gender diversity. So internally, we had a lot of discussions, programs running that we are capable to hold the space, because there was fun and sadness in the room of the women that we are facing, and a lot of anger, and we can hear and understand the anger that is out there with the women, but then to channel it into these all these companies that now have been founded for 5 years, and all these wonderful women out there who showcase their best entrepreneurial self, and us being proud as a team and talking about it. And today it has, I think the brand has become a stable brand in the accelerator scene. We are well recognized. So we could much more concentrate now on developing the acceleration process and developing our products within Grace and expand. But I would say this is our shift from this brand and communication strategy to acceleration, and now to reframe and rethink what we have done, and coming out with new products so far and enter new continents.
Yeah. Worked out pretty well.
Yes.
How you're a man, and like Anna said in the introduction, it's not that common. You don't expect a man to start up a program like this. How was it received? Do people know it, or is it the best kept secret in the world that you're behind this together with your partner, or is it? Can you tell us something about that?
It depends. At Ignore Gravity, we try to bring our people in the forefront, the team. So it's rare that my business partner Steffen and me are in the forefront. So always it's a team. Like, the people should present what they are doing and not us. You came to a topic where I can be very misunderstood with the following words, and I hope that I put it correctly. Usually, the men and the women who found us men as founders are very thankful, very open, and very supportive to Steffen and me, and probably a bit surprised or whatever, but they just say, wow, cool. And they see the whole potential of what we have built, and they see the team and they see the founders, but not like Steffen and me are definitely the most uninteresting part into the whole thing. But if we, and I must talk about this too, because from time to time it happens in social media that if we deal with women who have had the full negative experience on male-dominated and abusive atmospheres and surroundings in their private or business life, that we face an angry comments on like, who are Steffen and me using women to make profit? And here again, and now we come back to on how we step or try to step into the day by our mindfulness journey. It is, I think it's not that easy for me. I can't talk about Steffen, but just to say, you are invited to talk. Let's talk about this. So, when we get these comments, we invite these women to talk with us and sit down and try to understand what we are doing, what they are, what is it that they think we are that bad, yeah, and trying to find a way to communicate, but also not to be that irritated and go with the people who support us and just not leave our path and just again do good things in the world and move on.
Yeah.
So, but definitely it does not happen very often, but we had this issue that could be said like, where is the diversity? Like here, and Steffen and me said, yeah, we are very sorry in the beginning. It's just us. It's just us and the team. And now hopefully that when Suzanne and Leonie also become partners, not only in the Ignogravity venture, but also at Ignogravity, I think that this will give a better idea on like how we show up already. But this is something that is, to me, it's the only topic here that was a bit irritating to me. But then as I always try to say, invite to a dialogue and move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Try to incorporate and try to communicate better, more open. But like Steffen and me, we are not hiding. We are present, but we love also our teams to be present. And I think that out there the story is told. And from time to time it's still irritating for some women, and I hear them and I can feel them that in their way of seeing us, I understand that this could be really misinterpreted what we are doing.
Okay, Jan. I think we could talk for more hours because I found this a really interesting conversation, and I think you're a really inspiring guest. So thank you for joining and sharing all these thoughts and be open about yourself and the things you are doing. Do you have another suggestion for a potential next candidate for the show?
So probably one of my best friends, but also a person that I look up to a lot. He's called Nelson Gonzalez from San Francisco. He is one of the top tech founders being invited by Obama into the Oval Office in America. A wonderful modern man that I admire by heart, and I'm very impressed by his whole way of showing up in life, and as a friend, as a business partner, as a colleague, as someone who's on a spiritual journey, like on all levels, I would be very thankful to listen you interviewing Nelson. That would be wonderful, so I can connect you. He is outstanding and very inspiring.
All right. That sounds very inspiring. Thank you. And let's talk after how we we can connect to each other. Last question.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, there's no last question. Sorry, I wanted to ask you what award do you want to win because of the statement before, but you don't have an award in your mind that you wanted to win, right?
No.
So there's no question anymore.
No award. No awards.
No
left.
award. Jan, thank you very much. Like I said, I really enjoyed this interview or this conversation, and we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. Thank you.
Thank you.